podcast, and we are going to talk about the game of the Shedeur Sanders versus Max Crosby, or Myles Garrett versus Max Crosby, or Myles Garrett versus Geno Smith. I was going to talk to you a little bit about the stats. So right now, coming into the game, and this is a very evenly matched team when it comes to the offenses. Right now, you have offensive, you have 16 points a game for the Browns, 15.5 for the Raiders. So both of them are 29 and 30th respectively. Yards per game, 257 for the Browns, 269. And I hate to give you these stats because they bore me too, but I just want to let you know how close this game is probably going to be. And I'm going to stun you tonight. I'm going to stun you. Time of possession per game. The Browns are 30. The Raiders are 28. So that's a little bit of a disparity by a minute and a half. Here's where the big part comes. The Browns have 32 sacks. Okay. That's fifth in the NFL. The Raiders have 19 sacks. Now, Myles Garrett himself has 15 sacks. He is the defensive player of the year. He is somebody that is amazing. I want to bring on the Oracle here. Oracle, how are you today?
Oh man, I've never had it so good. And
I really
excited.
I really appreciate you coming on. I know you had Oracle was a possibility of no show, and this guy is all about service. I mean, seriously, I know he's laughing, but I'll tell you what, as great of an analyst and football knowledge, he's actually even a better person. This guy's always about service, and he's actually helping his fellow man tonight, and I appreciate that. Oracle, how are you tonight?
Oh man, I'm doing great, Johnny. Look, there's things going on, but there's nothing I'm more excited about than to see the Raiders be a favorite in a game and have the potential to get their third win of the season. I mean, look, did it go great on Monday night against the Cowboys? No. I mean, they had to play a very high-powered offense in Dallas, and George Pickens is looking like one of the best receivers in football. He absolutely worked Caillou Blue Kelly, but this week presents a little bit of a different challenge. In this game, we're going to see the Raiders play one of the better defenses in all of football and one of the worst offenses in all of football. So it's kind of the opposite of playing Dallas. And of course, everyone's excited to see Shedeur Sanders' first start. I am too, definitely. But hopefully the Raiders have really gotten in the film room this week and have been able to study a little bit what Baltimore did, especially on third down, because they did a tremendous job of disguising where their rushers were going to come from. And they really either forced Shedeur to go to his checkdowns, or Shedeur couldn't handle a lot of the pressure that was coming his way, and he took some sacks, threw an interception, and had a really bad intentional grounding. Now, he did have his best drive of the game at the end, but unfortunately, he had a big mistake in the end of the game that I do want to talk about that I don't think was really noticed well. But I think this is a very good opportunity for the Raiders, and let's see how they do on offense with game planning against Myles Garrett.
Well, that's great. But Jesse Souza, the famous Souza, one of the famous Souzas, says, "What's up, Oracle? How's this line going to stop Myles Garrett?" So you say, well, you say that's what we got to do, Oracle. So how are we going to do that? And especially with a line, we don't even know who's going to start yet. Before I let you answer that question, through the pressers this week, we've been led to believe, like we did last week, that there's a competition going on. And so I don't know. who's going to be out there. Are you going to have 3 undrafted free agents playing to this week, or are we going to have a rookie? Maybe is that please a possibility? What do you think? How do we stop? How do we, the Raiders and the Raider fans looking at this game, what's going to be the key? Because they don't just have Myles Garrett on that defense. They also have another nice addition on the tackle, and they got a rookie that's playing probably the best of any rookie in the league right now.
Yeah, definitely. And well, first of all, I do want to say that all 5 Sousas are famous. And just like how 5 famous Sousas, there's 5 guys on the offensive line. Look, whether they're undrafted rookies, whether it's Stone Forsythe, whether it's DJ Glaze, Meredith, Putnam, and then Parham, whoever it is, I mean, that's who's going to be out there. And we have all week to know who's going to be out there. Could we see Caleb Rogers? I mean, that would be nice to see a rookie, but look, if he's not ready physically or mentally, if he's not able to put in the right preparation to get on the field, then I think it's just not his time right now. So in terms of stopping Myles Garrett, I think a big thing that they should do would be to utilize 3 tight end sets. And that would mean Brock Bowers, that would mean Michael Mayer, and that would mean Ian Thomas. And the reason I think they should utilize 3 tight end sets is because I want to see a lot of guys on the edges to not just chip Myles Garrett. It's not just giving him a little push and then going out into a route. If we know that Stone Forsythe is the left tackle, if we know that DJ Glaze is the right tackle, we know that they're not going to be able to block Myles Garrett. And look, not a lot of people in the NFL really can. So I think they need to game plan a way to get multiple guys on the edges. And I say 3 tight ends because Bowers, we don't want as a blocker. We want him getting out in pass patterns and making plays.
And he's not a great blocker.
No, he's not. I mean, that's not why people get up and cheer for Brock Bowers. They get up for the plays. Michael Mayer can block a little bit, but he's another guy I think would be better off as another option in the passing game. So between Trey Tucker, between Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, Ashton Jeanty getting out in the flat, that's 4 guys. Let's have Ian Thomas be the extra offensive lineman in a way who could be a extra help on Myles Garrett.
And you know what I wouldn't mind seeing, because I see it like the Niners do this a lot. I do see a lot of the other teams do a lot is you can use him almost like a chipping back, like what you see with the Niners will do with Christian McCaffrey, where he'll hit the back and then kind of go out to the side on a play that's not, I wouldn't say it's a design play, but a tight end can stay into block and still go out and catch a pass. And I would like to see a little bit more of that. I don't see the Raiders using the flat areas like as a chipping and throw area. They did it a little bit on last week with Jeanty against Dallas, but it was just like, Geno seems to take forever to get the pass out there. That's got to be a bang bang play with him out. He wasn't looking off the line and looking off the cornerback or the linebacker to get the pass off. The Raiders have been weak since Derek Carr's been here regarding any kinds of quick pass, quick like a little bubble passes and screen passes. We just haven't had that. Jalen Richard was probably our best screen guy on third down.
Yeah, that was years ago. And we haven't seen that. Jacobs, people try to say he's a great pass catcher out of the backfield. He's okay. That wasn't his strongest point. His strongest point is similar to Ashton Jeanty, where he could bounce off somebody and go. And just let's not forget, back to the offensive line, Ashton Jeanty is the number 1 running back who has been hit behind the line of scrimmage. The number 2 guy is so far away, it's not even close. So let's just get that. I want you guys to watch this with the Oracle. We actually had fun with this
Get off of TikTok, and I love TikTok. Love TikTok.
We know.
And this guy is the Oracle on steroids. This guy is my second favorite. I would say he's 1A to Oracle, but I would only say that if Oracle wasn't here. So this is a fun one. So guys, get ready for this video. This is going to make you mad, and it's going to make you laugh at the same time. Watch this guy.
Carries for 7 yards and had an 11-yard rush. How is that even possible? I'll tell you how. First off, what is this play design? It's a toss to the right, and they leave the edge on that side completely unblocked. What is that play design? Obviously, he's not fooled. Obviously, he's going to be there for a loss of 3, but that's not it. Look at this blocking. The right tackle's meant to block this 3 technique. On a toss to the right, you probably want to seal him to the inside, right? Well, his first step is with his left foot to the inside. What are you doing? That 3 technique literally beats him to the outside. How is that even possible? And not only that, look at the center and left guard Dylan Parham on the zone block on the 0 tech. First off, the center does nothing, no strong arm, no nothing to help prevent penetration. And then Dylan Parham hugs him, allows him to completely run free after that. And then Dylan Parham falls. What is this? It is the most incompetent offensive line I have ever seen in my life. On this play, you basically have 2 edge defenders. Instead of adjusting your blocking assignments at all, you still get a combo block on the 2i, and then you just let one of the edges entirely run free on your own 1. That is unacceptable. Obviously, that's stuff for a safety, but then you look at the other side of the offensive line and it sucks too. Ian Thomas, he's working against this 7 technique. Well, Ian Thomas, let me just put a shoulder into him and then let me just forget about him. So you got 2 guys running free on your own 1. That is unacceptable. All right, last play. I can't take this anymore. So the left guard, Dylan Parham, in the center, Will Putnam, are zone blocking the 2i Kenny Clark. Now, I get Kenny Clark's a good defensive tackle, but Dylan Parham actually does a good job. He gets his shoulder into him, so this should be a solid overtake for the center, Will Putnam. But instead, he gets absolutely thrown. Kenny Clark engulfs Ashton Genty. But not only that, Dylan Parham, after making a decent block for once, he climbs up to the safety and gets beat by a safety. Even if Kenny Clark wasn't there, that safety's there to make the play. This offensive line is an absolute joke, and maybe that's what happens when your 100-year-old head coach hires his son to coach an already shit offensive line.
I love TikTok. There's nothing wrong about what he said. There's nothing wrong. So my son, Kyle, how do you think our interior line's going to do against Graham? I don't know. I don't know, because I think we don't even know who our line is going to be. It's a great question. How are we going to do against them? I think that if we aren't double teaming Myles Garrett, that means these guys are all going to go. Once you, and that's the great question, Kyle. And Kyle's the Oracle's going to go to the Giants game with me.
Yes.
So Oracle, he's going to be one of my. Him and your mom, right? Your mom and you are going to the Giants game?
Yes, I talked to her. I talked to her today, and it looks like we're staying at the Mandalay Bay.
Oh, my. Oh,
Breaking
my.
Right there. Waiting for Schefter to put that on ESPN. Or TikTok.
No, I would if he was on, I would read it. So we talked about this a little earlier. Mason Graham is a great player. And Kyle can attest to this. I wanted Mason Graham first, and I wanted Quishon Judkins second. Those were my 2 picks. Yeah. Those are my number 1 and number 2. So why don't you go ahead and talk about their number 1, their number 2, and about a little bit about that defensive line for the I'm reading. I'm sorry. I'm double dipping right now. But let's talk about their defensive line, because they have Mason Graham. They also have somebody else. And then we just talked about their player of the year, the defensive player of the year, who I loved. He was another guy that I wanted as a linebacker. So why don't you dip into that a little bit, Oracle?
Yeah, definitely. So Browns have one of the best defenses in all of football. And look, the defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett, could definitely be a candidate for that. But another guy who's been really good is a former Raider named Malik Collins, who has had a really good year for the Cleveland Browns. If you look at PFF, he's one of the highest graded interior defenders in all of football. And look, Malik Collins is a guy who's never been a dominant player, but he's had some good years. He's had some not so good years. This is one of his good years. And Mason Graham is not a guy who's really stuffed the stat sheet. He's not really having a great year by PFF standpoint, but he's on the field a lot. So I think that means that the coaching staff really likes him. He's maybe playing more of an occupy gaps role, and he's kind of eating up space for guys like Malik and Myles to get over there. But the rookie that's really been sensational for the Cleveland Browns is their rookie second-round pick at a UCLA linebacker, Carson Schweisinger. Carson Schweisinger is a guy, I don't know if we have anyone who's listening from the Ventura area, but I believe he went to Oaks Christian High School, which is a really good high school football program up in the Ventura or Thousand Oaks area. And then he goes to UCLA, played maybe he was recruited by Chip Kelly to go there. I'm not 100% sure, but he was a little on the smaller side. He's another one of these guys, kind of like Fred Warner, where Fred Warner was a high school safety, initially went to BYU, was a safety, and then as he kind of grew into his body, moved to linebacker. And that's exactly what happened with Carson Schweisinger at UCLA. And what happens with a lot of these former safeties that go to linebacker is they have the speed of a safety, but as they grow into their bodies and they get a little bigger, they could play down in the box more. So not only do you get a guy who could flow sideline to sideline, you get a guy who has a little bit of size on him who could take on blocks and then make plays. So that's kind of the ideal modern day linebacker. It's not so much the Dick Butkus where you get this big hulking 260-pound guy who maybe can't go sideline to sideline but could stuff you in the A and B gaps. Or take on guards. It's guys that flow sideline to sideline because in the modern day NFL, you have to defend a lot of receivers, smaller, quicker tight ends, and you have to cover a lot of crossing routes, and you have to be able to move your hips very fluidly. So that's kind of ideally what they look for in the modern linebacker, and that's what Carson Schweisinger has been for the Cleveland Browns. And he's been him and Devin Bush, who's been kind of a reclamation project.
Yes.
He was a very high draft pick for the Steelers. Didn't quite work out there, bounced around a little bit. Now he's on Cleveland, and he's a pretty good player for them. And, of course, they have one of the better corners in all football in Denzel Ward.
Love Denzel Ward. That guy's a beast. And you know what?
Yeah.
And again, what they did in the draft is this is sample size of what the Raiders need to do this year. This right now, we're going to have a draft special, and I don't want to get into the draft right now, but inside linebackers, outside linebackers, safeties are the plethora this year. This is going to be the greatest linebacker core since 93 and the Shane Conklin days and all the rest of the 93. There's a ton of them that came out in 93. And I would really, really like to see the Raiders pull because we are not getting to the passer at all. And we're going to see that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get into Shedeur Sanders real quick. But I want to show something right here, Oracle. And this is, I am not a Patrick Graham guy at all. And this game scares me because Shedeur Sanders first game, Jeff Saturday's first game, Baker Mayfield's first game. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And watch this play right here, Oracle. This is one that just really gets my goat. So go ahead and set it up for us, Oracle.
This is the Jake Ferguson touchdown. Yeah. So this is the second touchdown that the Cowboys were able to score. So if you look down at the bottom of the screen, you have three receivers bunched up to the right for the Cowboys. You're going to see Jake Ferguson as the guy in the middle who's on the line of scrimmage. You're going to see George Pickens at the top of the screen as the single receiver. And then you're going to see Javonte Williams, who's initially offset Dak to the left. However, if you notice that arrow over there, you're going to notice that he's going to motion over. So right now the Raiders see a 3-by-2 set. However, with the motion of Williams coming over to the other side, that's going to put 4 Cowboy receivers on the right side or the bottom of the screen for the Raiders to have to account for. And the Raiders, kind of like a lot of plays in this game, when there were shifts and motions, the Raiders would kind of get a little confused as to who exactly they have to cover. And let me say one more
fourth
thing.
down play too. It's a 4th and 1.
Yeah. And the Raiders are going to drop 8 guys into coverage in rush 3. So when you drop 8, you expect guys to be covered since you have 8 guys covered to be able to cover 5 guys.
Watch Patrick Graham's defense here. Well organized. Okay. Snap. Okay. Right now, watch 69. He's in between the guard and the left guard and the left tackle. Okay. He goes into coverage. 300-pound defensive lineman on the goal line goes into coverage. Is he trying to make up space? Okay, fine. Okay. So why right there?
White.
Why are they, both of those players, on that side? And then, of course, Lonnie Johnson comes in a little late. Let's watch it in real time. Watch Javonte Williams. Okay. That was the worst covered. That is Patrick Graham. And you were earlier trying to say, well, this is what the Raiders need to do is dial up some blitzes for him. So let's go ahead and let's see.
And one more thing on that play, Johnny. If you notice Adams, when Williams went to the other side of the line, Adams stayed on his side. And Adams needs to understand that when Williams goes to that side, there's only one receiver, George Pickens, on that side. And then there's a corner and there's a safety to account for George Pickens. Now, if Adams would have gotten over and adjusted to Williams going to the other side, maybe you wouldn't have Jake Ferguson open right in the middle of the field. Adams could have been in that area to maybe affect Dak to throw to another receiver. And if anytime Dak has to take his eyes off the initial receiver that he's looking for, that allows the rush more time to get home.
Right. Well, and then look at Kelly. It's 4th and 1. Look at this play.
Because Kelly's scared to get beat deep.
Yes, he's scared to go. He doesn't want anybody in the black. Look at that.
Yeah.
And it's just horrible. And this is just a consistent thing with Patrick Graham. And it's just, there's so many different plays, and we'll go back and forth. So let's go ahead and let's start with bad Shedeur Sanders. Don't worry, folks. We'll get back to the Raiders defense, and sadly so. Let's go ahead. So, okay, Oracle. Let's go ahead and stop that. Let's start in here, and let's go ahead.
Yeah. So before you hit play, I want to talk about a couple things in this play. The first thing you got to understand is look at all the guys that Baltimore has on the line of scrimmage. Now, the number one, it's not about who's on the line of scrimmage. It's identifying the amount of guys that could potentially rush. Now, if you really look at this play, at the top of the screen, they have a corner and they have a safety in the middle of the field. Everyone else could potentially be a rusher on this play. So that means there's 9 potential rushers on this play. Now, a quarterback is going to set the protection in the direction that they believe has the most potential rush threats. So if you look at the center, you could count that there's 5 guys to the right of the center. There's 3 guys on the line. There's the corner who's creeping in, and then there's the linebacker who's off the ball right behind him, who are all to the right of the center. So Shedeur's going to set the protection to the right. And the other player that you really need to pay attention to is the corner who's creeping in at the top of the screen, because he's going to get the interception. And I want you to notice how he has what's called inside leverage. And that means inside leverage that means you're closer to the quarterback and you're on the inside shoulder of the receiver. Outside leverage is what he's going to get into after the snap. That means he's going to be on the outside shoulder of the receiver, and he's going to be closer to the boundary. So just pay attention to all that, and they're going to rush 5 guys on this play.
Oh, let me go back. That was a boo-boo. Okay,
It's
so
okay.
watch this. Now watch back.
So now you could see that the corner is getting into outside leverage, and Shedeur's going to read the outside leverage, and he's going to try to make a throw to the outside. He's going to throw it like Judy is running a deep out. However, Jeudy, for some reason, does not run an out route. He keeps running straight. Now, if you look at the rush here, you're going to see that the center is going to slide right. And the rush of the Ravens is going to come from the left side of the line. There's only going to be one rusher from the Ravens who comes from the right side. And what you're going to see is you're going to see 3 offensive linemen, the center, right guard, and right tackle, all occupying one rusher. And that's going to allow 4 guys to come in from the left side, and they don't have as many guys blocked on that side. So this is a really good job by the Ravens attacking the protection to make Shedeur think the rush is coming from one way. And then after he sets the protection, post-snap, they come from the other way that he doesn't set the protection for.
Great way to explain the inside shoulder, because, again, that's kind of something that Shedeur and Jeudy could get in as. I mean, he doesn't run with the number 1, so that's something that they got to work on. But watch this. I mean, that's a great analogy. He thinks Judy's going to the outside. Watch this play.
And he throws it right to the corner who's an outside. And whenever a corner has outside leverage, that means they could defend any out route. They have the advantage over the receiver on that play. So, and why would Shedeur make this throw? Because the pressure's coming. And running back is the running backs. It's going to be the guy over the Njoku right here. I think that's Kyle Van Noy, but the rusher over.
Yeah, it is Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah.
Okay, so watch this from the air.
He's going to run around the other 2 teammates to the right. So he's going to run around 2 Ravens, get pressure, hit Shedeur, interception. So that's a staple of their blitz. We'll watch Kyle Hamilton do that on one of the plays as well. Yeah.
So that's kind of what that you're talking about. The Raiders can do that. Now hold on. Seems simple, right? But
so fast.
It's not going to be. It's different. It's different because I don't believe that the Raiders linebackers, other than Adams, can blitz very well. I mean, if you want to say Devin White blitzes well, he blitzed well in one game, and that's pretty much it. Let's go to the next one here, and let's go ahead and set that one up there, Oracle.
Yeah. So, all right, we got which play is this? I can't tell from
this one's where his eyes go bad.
Is this the intentional grounding?
Watch this. Yeah. No.
Okay. Let me see it first. Oh, I remember this. So
this is where, let's go ahead and the play design isn't bad. It's that, and again, I don't have a problem with Shedeur Sanders in this game. I mean, there was some better stuff that we're going to show here soon, but this guy right here, this is what you're going to have to do. And I like Kyle Hamilton a lot. And we talked about Caleb Downs coming out of Ohio State, stuff like that. And this guy's he's a dirty player. I like him. He gets dirty. So check this out. Shedeur's watch his head the whole way. This play, it was a great design play, but the Ravens sniffed it out. And look at it. Boom. Should have been a pick. That was almost the second pick out of like 3 plays. So that was right there. Was another bad Shedeur. White's been a liability the last 7 games. Yeah, I agree with that totally. And not only that, he's trying to get kicked out of a game. He's pushing and he's hitting, and he's really, really on my S list. I mean, I'm just not really happy with him right now. Okay, let me see the D1D. Let me find D1D. Okay. Here's the play that you wanted to see right here.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's watch the play and then we'll go over it. That's the Kyle Hamilton, beautifully done. He kind of got in the way. Well, I don't know what you would call it. It's okay. Let's go ahead and stop it right here.
Yeah, so right here, you're going to see Kyle Hamilton. He's in the middle of the field. He's essentially the Mike linebacker on this play. And then the down lineman over the right tackle is going to be Kyle Van Noy. And this is something that the Raiders need to copy from the Ravens. Is the Ravens do a great job running stunts, and Shedeur had a really hard time picking this up. Now, the Raiders run a decent amount of stunts, but they're not as good at running them as the Ravens, but I think it's something they really need to practice this week to really make a point of emphasis to understand that Shedeur and the offensive line, it's not even just Shedeur. People could talk about Shedeur. He should have played better and stuff like that. The offensive line had a hard time picking up a lot of stunts. And if they have a hard time picking it up again this week, Shedeur will struggle again. So you're going to see Kyle Hamilton and Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy is 53 over the right tackle. They're going to work together. And Kyle Hamilton is going to rush, and he's going to distract the right guard. He's going to hit him a little bit. And then Van Noy is going to loop around inside the right guard. The running back is going to be distracted by Kyle Hamilton because Kyle Hamilton's such a good player. And then Kyle Van Noy is going to get around both the right guard and the running back, and they're going to flush Shedeur out of the pocket. And let's see what happens when Shedeur gets flushed out of the pocket.
Now, number 14 is Hamilton, guys. You're going to see him. He runs the pick in this play. Watch this.
All right. Hits the right guard. Here comes Van Noy, and intentional grounding. So, and then followed that by Trenton Simpson beating the right tackle and then hitting Shedeur, and then Shedeur can't get the ball past the line of scrimmage, and that's an intentional grounding. And remember, in that situation, it's a tie game. So that cost them field position on the punt. And that gave Baltimore better field position to come back. So it's little things like that, little things how a stunt could cause not just an interception, not just a sack, but maybe an intentional grounding too. And look, if Trenton Simpson could beat the right tackle, we definitely know Max Crosby could beat a right tackle too.
Yep. We just don't know if Devin White's smart enough to go ahead and run a pick play and then continue up the field, because he was definitely not going for the quarterback. This was all designed. Watch number 14. This is what you call an AFC North play. They know how to blitz.
Yeah. He's the setup man.
He's just a setup guy. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, and again, I don't know if I can say that our guys, and again, I don't think Patrick Graham is a great, I love the AFC North. I used to love the way the Steelers used to, all 9 of them coming up to the line. You don't know who's coming. So if you're an offensive lineman, you're like, and it just confuses people. It used to bother me that the Raiders, we're not going to blitz, just to let everybody know we don't blitz. Okay, so that guy's yours, that guy's yours. We're just going to try to win. It's like it's just an antiquated, horrible defense, and it just seems like Patrick Graham's running that, and I don't know if that's Patrick Graham or if it's Pete Carroll, because as I'm watching the game, I'm at every game at the top of 246. If you guys didn't ever hear, and it's watching I watch Carroll come up to Graham most of the game, because Carroll's and Graham are both on the sidelines. I don't know what they're saying. I would love to find out. So let's go to an okay play. Let's go to 3-3-2.
And let me say this. The rush plan that the Raiders come up with on third down will be the most important factor in the game, because that will be the factor that gets them off the field. So they got to be able to have a good rush plan like the Ravens did there in order to win this game.
Shedeur's a very good passer. I mean, he's accurate. The problem, and Shedeur's not does his to his downfall, he will sit in the pocket till the last absolute minute, and we'll show you what he can do coming up here real soon at the Bad Baller Podcast.
All right.
Look at that.
Good spin.
Look at this. That's just called a couple of times. Can I work with the ones for a while? And maybe I could do that. I mean, let's watch that again. That's a great play.
Yeah.
This is Shedeur.
So he's able to spin out of the pressure here. So that's a really good play by Shedeur. That could have been a sack, but he spun out. And look, if you're going to miss in this situation, that is the place you want to miss. You want to miss on an overthrow. An underthrow in this situation would probably be an interception. So
or the guy at the goal line. He threw it exactly where he's supposed to. And
that's
in a
incredibly tight window to make that throw.
You know what? It is an incredibly tight window. And that's as the game's progressing now. If it didn't happen, it seems like as the plays were going in, and especially when at the end when they had to score, he was, was playing backyard ball. He really looked comfortable and backyard ball. All right, so we got that. We got AAB next. Let's see AAB, shall we?
We shall. All right. So
nice pass.
Look, that is a nice pass. I agree with you, Johnny, but I think this was actually Shedeur's biggest mistake in the game, or maybe not mistake, but his biggest missed opportunity, because the Browns are able to give him enough protection to make the throw down the field. Now, there's two guys. I don't know if you're able to get the end zone copy.
I didn't get it.
Okay.
I didn't.
Okay.
I was a little late on that.
If anyone's able to see the TV copy of this play, Jerry Jeudy's in the slot on this play, and he is wide open on about a 8-yard out route that he runs from the slot, and he has the deep safety coming over trying to cover him. It's kind of like the play when the Raiders played the Jaguars and Ashton Jeanty got that touchdown on a quick screen. That's because the deep safety had to come over in zero coverage to try to cover Ashton Jeanty. So whenever a deep safety has to go cover a speed receiver like Jeudy on an out route, that's a tough coverage for him. And in this situation, it's 3rd and 5. And look, that is a good throw. I mean, the defender, I believe that's Chidobe Awuzie, makes a pretty good. Yeah, he makes a pretty good play on the ball for the Ravens. However, Shedeur's got to understand the situation here, and he's got to understand that he needs a first down. And look, in Jeudy, if he's able to get a catch and run situation, he could have made that safety miss, and he could have maybe scored a touchdown that way. So,
I don't know if that's a play call or that's just a Shedeur trying to make a play. Either way, I agree with you. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that if you're running with the ones, as he is all week this week, there's a possibility he could get that. Look at the Huska. Huska has a great question. Browns line might be as bad as us. Crosby could really cause problems.
Great.
They're bad. They're not. They're not. There's a reason why they're only have a 15 yards a game more than we do. Definitely. And then Mariachi Tony. What's up, Mariachi?
All right.
Play the trumpet. Mariachi. He's the best. He's great. So on that one, I'm like, okay. Now let's start to get into a little bit of Shedeur. Look.
Yeah. So look, the last drive Shedeur had, he was able to get a little more comfortable, and he was able to settle in. He was able to get a little more confident looking down the field. He wasn't looking at the rush so much. And the Cleveland line picks this up pretty good. I hear what Huss is saying. Overall, I think they were a problem. But on this play in particular, he was able to make a nice throw over the middle to Harold Fannin, who's another pretty good rookie that the Browns have. You know, the Browns are kind of, in a way, kind of similar to the Raiders. Bad offensive line, 2 tight ends. But, you know, at the same time, maybe people like Shedeur or are a little more optimistic about Shedeur instead of Geno Smith. But, you know, look, this is a good, confident throw that he's able to make over the middle of 2 Ravens defenders. So, look, if he has some time, he can make some plays. So the Raiders need to make sure that they're able to really try to come up with some fronts that confuse him. Make sure the pre-snap read that he's going to make is different than the post-snap picture that is going to be presented to him when the ball snapped. Make him mentally process different things. And because if you just give them the same look pre-snap and then it's post-snap and it's like, oh, it's the same look. Oh, here's my answer. Then that could be a problem. But if you're able to throw some curveballs at him, kind of like how Zach Gore of the Ravens did, then I think you might be able to get him. And I think this is going to be a really good test to see how well Shedeur studied his own film going into the week and how well he's able to learn from the mistakes that happened to him throughout the game on Sunday. Because I think the Raiders need to be able to see, did he learn from these mistakes? And they need to have a game plan as well. If he did learn from his mistakes, they need to have a kind of like a second game plan of how they're going to attack him after that.
There's a play that I was really, again, I'm a Raider fan, and there was a lot of us that were hesitant about getting Shedeur one way or the other. And that's not something we can talk about today because I don't care about that. But this pass right here, watch his head. The protection's good. Watch him go through his reads. Boom. Nice play to Judy. Judy makes a move because Judy's a good receiver. And if you're going to tackle the way we tackled against Dallas on that, something like that, it's going to be a very, very long game. A very long game. I want to show you something. We're done with the film work for tonight. And Oracle, let's go ahead and take a look at this right here. These are the Raider rookie snap counts, okay? Ashton 73% of the snaps as he should. Jack Besher's 26%. Darian Porter, which I didn't understand why he was not playing the whole game. The word on the street from somebody I know says he'll be playing this week a lot. But then that's your third, your number 2 picks there. And then Caleb Rogers, your number 3, 0%. Number 3A or 3B, Charles Grant, 0.2. Dante Thornton, 48. Tonka Hemingway, 12. The disgusting play of not having J.J. Pegues at all, which I can't understand, is 4%. Tonka Hemingway, you and I liked some of his play against Jacksonville, and it's kind of crazy that we're not playing our rookies a little bit more. Now, why was Caleb Rogers a healthy scratch? But we brought up someone, I forget his name now, a guard from the practice squad as a backup. I mean,
yeah, I don't understand. Oh man,
go ahead, take care of business. I got you.
All right, cool, man.
So unfortunately, he's got a fire at his place right now. He'll be back or he won't be back. But the Raiders will make Shedeur look good. And I'm going to say yes. This is a perfect game for Shedeur because the Raiders, the way they play loose coverage, zone defense, cover 3, they go from a zone to a cover 3, and their linebackers are not good at coverage. That is why Landon Roberts is never on the field. But I agree with this 100%. I agree with this 150% that they're going to make Shedeur look good. I got to watch all of the Shedeur game, and then I went back and watched his last games in Colorado. And is everybody okay?
Everyone is okay. Yes. Some people,
you need some AA batteries for that thing. But what I was going to say is, I'm not going to say who's going to win this game because it's a pig fest, if anything, as we call it in the Souza household, a Dan Jiggets game. Dan Jiggets used to be the announcer you got when you were like the worst announcers, when you were the worst teams. Now the new Dan Jiggets announcer is Spiro Ditas. When you get Spiro Ditas, you are the worst. That means you are. It's going to be a pig fest. But let's go ahead and go. I'm going to get this off the screen here.
Let me ask you a question, Johnny, with in regards to Darian Porter. Do you think maybe he didn't play because they were afraid of having him look bad against George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb? And maybe they're like, let's have Caillou Blue-Kelly look bad. That way we don't ruin the confidence of the guy who we really want to develop, who's Darian Porter. Do you think that had anything to do with it?
I hope not. I would hope not. I would hope that compete puts the best players out there. It wouldn't make sense that he does that with Kelly. I think that Carroll has been fixated on Kelly from training camp. That's all we heard about. Training camp is always one of those where we're in the first game. Yeah, Kelly's good. He's good. Darian Porter's good. It's like you hear all of the rookies are good. Dante Thornton's good. Yeah. And then they play. And it's like, Raider fans, 2 years ago, we were 2-7 with McDaniels, and we got rid of him because we were 2-7. Okay. Last year, we were 2-7 with Antonio Pierce. And it's like, we were 2-7. He's no longer here. Now we're 2-8 with Pete Carroll. The common denominator is we're 2-8, and I'm going to put this up, and then we'll speak on this because I agree with this. I think if the common denominator is the same thing, it's your coach. It can't be your coaching anymore. I mean, all of a sudden, did McDaniels get smart and the New England's the number 1 seed? Okay. I don't know. Did he all of a sudden, did he come to the Raiders just to call shitty plays? I don't think so. I mean, and at that point, I don't want to, at that point, I'm not this right now. Patrick Graham is a common denominator for everything so far. And I don't like Patrick Graham. I'm sorry. I'm sure he's a nice guy. And I'm sure he's always been a gentle giant in the press rooms. And I like that about him. But what David Freitas is saying right here is front office is not on the same page as the coach. Coach wants to win now. Front office wants to see the young guys so they can assess moving forward. I agree 100% with that. 100% of that I agree with. It's like I heard from a very reliable source that Pete Carroll did not want Jacoby Myers gone. He was fighting tooth and nail to keep that. And I wouldn't say that unless I knew it was true, but I know it's true. If you're the front office of the Raiders, okay, you can't get, is he going to wait till week 14 to see it with Grant, Rodgers, Porter, Thornton, Besh? Is that when he's going to wait to do that? And again, I don't think that the Raiders can actually, you can't really get a good view of what the Raiders team is with this offensive line. You can't talk to me about Chip Kelly not knowing how to call plays. You can't tell me that Pete Carroll forgot how to coach, just like Josh McDaniels forgot. All of a sudden he remembers. He's all of a sudden a great offensive coordinator. Well, he was our offensive coordinator, and he didn't do very well because just like Josh Jacobs leaves, and all of a sudden he's one of the best running backs in the NFL every year with the Packers. You can't assess a team, a coach, a quarterback, a running back. I've had a friend of mine call me today, tell me that Ashton Genty goes down too easy. It's like, dude, he gets hit behind the line every play. Right now, that's a big problem. And Husk says, I agree. Let him coach for 3 years. If he's going to make a move at offensive coordinator because of people don't mesh with Chip Kelly, there's a lot of that story, and I don't know if it's true, and I don't want to believe it's true. Maybe he's just a jerk because he wants better play. So I don't know, but I can tell you right now, I don't want to fire everybody. I would definitely like to see Patrick Graham be replaced by somebody like a Jesse Minter. You watch the Chargers. I mean, when they're going to play, they play man coverage. They play tight coverage. That's why it's hard as hell to get a pass off against the against the Chargers. They're playing an AFC North style defense. They're at the line. They don't know who's coming, and they have guys that play really, really well on the cornerbacks because they play press coverage. They're not giving him 5 yards off the ball. As far as Brennan Carroll goes, well, we just watched this. We just watched this play. I mean, we watched this video, and we'll play it without sound. But this is exactly there's so many missed assignments, right? That how is that being coached well? Is it because there's such a revolving door they don't have continuity? But there's just seems like there's just so many mistakes on the offensive line. And you and I talked about it ever since Harold Landry exposed JPJ in the middle of that line, the very first game of the Patriots, and they never fixed it. And you just saw it here at the end of this video right here. I'll jump fast forward to it.
Well, look, Johnny, I think this video on the off, and this is a really good video, by the way. I don't know the guy's name. Maybe you could let everyone know, but
I don't remember.
I think that video and the offensive line is a very good symbol of the biggest problem the Raiders have as a whole, and that's the organizational alignment of the key people involved with the Las Vegas Raider organization. We got Mark Davis is the owner who sells a good portion of the team to Tom Brady. So that means Tom Brady's coming in, and Tom Brady, because he's Tom Brady, is going to have a respected opinion. And he brings along his buddy from Tampa Bay, a guy he really respects, and John Spytek, to be the general manager. And so you have John Spytek, Tom Brady over here, and then they bring in Pete Carroll. And my question is how aligned is Pete Carroll with John Spytek and Tom Brady? And to me, it doesn't really make sense to have a coach that's going to be, and look, I understand he's 75. He doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. He wants to win now. But, at the same time, Pete Carroll is the head coach. And I agree, firing. And here's the other thing. If you were to fire Pete Carroll, that means in 3 seasons, you had 3 different head coaches: Josh McDaniels, Antonio Pierce, and Pete Carroll. When you're interviewing candidates, do you really think the best candidate is going to want to be at a job where the 3 guys who had been there previously were only there for a year? Not really. That's not a way to really attract the top candidates. Now, that doesn't mean I'm saying that, we should just kind of let everything be and just kind of let everything go, because I think things need to change. I think there needs to be a sit-down moment with John Spytek, Pete Carroll, Mark Davis, and Tom Brady, so they could all not get on the same page, not have a meeting where they're all like, okay, here's what we're going to do, and then they walk out, and then everyone's talking bad about each other afterwards. They need to really sit down and really kind of get to the core issues of where they may believe their differences lie. And if they believe that they can't be solved, then they need to make changes. But if they could find a way to come together and find solutions to the problems that have presented to themselves this season, whether it be the depth along the offensive line, the ability of this defense to not really have a whole lot of multiplicity and duplicity, and watch the Ravens. Watch how the Ravens attack protections in this defense of opposing offenses. You don't really see that from the Raiders. You see a lot of spot drop zone coverages. You see a lot of guys covering grass, not covering players. I would like to see kind of a hybrid of the Brian Flores or even Zach Orr, a lot of guys on the line of scrimmage, make it really confusing for the quarterbacks to identify the protections. And then I'd like to see a little bit of pattern match zone coverage. And what that is a zone coverage, but it turns into man coverage when the guys run into a certain zone. That way, you're able to be more fundamentally sound, because when you're playing spot job zone coverages and quarterbacks see that on film, they're able to dial up beaters. They're able to come up with plays to beat certain coverages, and it makes it very easy for the quarterback as long as he gets enough protection. And here's the other issue. How come we haven't had the other rusher to Max Crosby? Tyree Wilson has not developed the way that we've liked. Malcolm Kuntz has not developed the way that we've liked. We've had moments from some of the interior defensive players, whether it be Butler, Lowell, but how come they can't find the other guys? How come they can't find a good cover linebacker, a good cover safety? Eric Stokes has been nice, but can Darian Porter develop into the other corner? I think they have good skill players. I don't think they need another skill player. I mean, between Janty, Bowers, Tucker's really good. Michael Mayer could be the other tight end. And could Jack Besh, who was the second pick in the draft, get on the field more? That's another thing. You know, the front office drafts a guy. They want to see their guy be developed on the field. And I think the coaching staff needs to have a little more grace for some of these younger players to be able to work with them and develop, not just come to press conferences and be like, well, you know, this guy needs to be able to compete. You know, how can you help him compete? You are the head coach. You are the chief figure out officer. Figure out, work with the players, not just point fingers at, oh, you know, not make these passive aggressive comments like, well, I'm not the one running the offense. So look, maybe you need to find a guy on offense that is more aligned with Pete Carroll, so they could work better together. So
I don't think that's going to happen, and I hope it doesn't. I'm not giving up on anything on the offense until you get me an offensive line. I'm sorry. It's like I just watched a couple of guys that I really like, and they were saying the same thing. There's no way that Fernando Mendoza is going to come on the Raiders next year and do anything other than get killed. So anyway, so we're going to wrap it up. As far as I'm going to go tonight, I'm not going to pick the game this week because I'm a Raider fan and I don't really trust this team right now. I'm going to tell you that this is the worst Raider team, and I'm not talking about players, but this team is probably played the worst 10 games in my lifetime. And since I've been a Raider fan, I know the 2006 when we had if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. When we had the bed and breakfast.
Oh yeah.
Offensive coordinator
who had a bed and breakfast in Idaho.
Yeah, Tom and Brett. Excellent. See that guy's Oracle is he's a 64K, and this is the worst team that's been playing. And again, in 2006, I think it was 6 when it was the Art Shell 2.0, and that was like Andrew Walter was the quarterback. It was like it was a pig fest. It was horrible. It was bad. It was really, really bad. But this team right here, I think, is worse.
Wow.
And I'm going to ask you a question. Oracle. You've watched the Raiders.
Yes.
At the end of the year, and you go into right before free agency, would you trade Max Crosby?
No, I would not. I think the Raiders need Max Crosby as a leader. If he wants to be, unless Max Crosby really wants out, then I think that's a situation where, look, do you really want a guy who doesn't want to be here? No. But if Max Crosby wants to be a Raider, let him be a Raider. Pay him worth and build around him. Absolutely. You know right now there's a big you got a lot, and I'm not talking about the TMZ fan base. I'm talking about the fan base that's like, hey man, we're in a rebuild. How do we get out of this thing? And that's kind of the quickest way. So we'll talk more about that on Sunday after the game. Look at David Freitas. Tom Walsh. Yes, it was the worst, but this is not far behind. What were you going to say, Oracle? So I'm going to predict the game. I think the Raiders are going to win 10-7. It's going to be a game winner by Daniel Carlson. I think AJ Cole will be the MVP of the game. I think he's going to. I think he's going to. We got to look at the over and under on punts. Yeah, I think he's going to have some good punts in the game. I think the Raiders will rush well. I don't I think the Raiders will have problems with protection, though. I think it will be a low-scoring game. I think both teams are going to try not to lose the game the best they can.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Totally
I think
agree
they're
with that. But I'm going to go ahead and take a mulligan for this game. And so on Sunday, after the game, the Oracle and I will go on. I apologize for Monday night. I didn't get back to the motel room after, and I was very, 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 very pissed. I mean, I felt like I was in Kansas City again at the Kansas City game. It was that bad. But the Oracle and I will come on Sunday night. And then next Tuesday, we have a big show. We have Phil Demmel coming on, and a very, very have a very big guest with Filthy Demmel.
Oh,
and
wow.
if everybody was here on Tuesday and saw the brilliant interview by not by me, by Cisco. Cisco was killing it.
Yes.
Cisco had said that somebody was an honorary Black Hole member. And I asked him for a favor, and he gave it to me. And I'm going to share this favor with you one time.
Wow.
So I don't know if you're going to DVR it, you screenshot it, whatever. But this thing is going to be a poster in my room. And hopefully it'll be a poster in your room as well. But Cisco, what a great dude. I can hardly wait to meet him face to face. He sent me something else and made me cry, and we'll share about that later. Because I want to introduce it correctly, and I want to talk to him about it correctly. He sent me something that if you're a Raider fan, and if you were at the very last Raider game, it's going to make you cry. I can already feel myself saucing up, and I hate it. It was it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Guys, what's that?
It was immaculate.
Spoiler alert. Okay, guys. Thanks for everybody that coming. We are out today. Thanks to everybody that show up. Guys at the bottom, if you could do me a favor, I'm real close to 200. That gets me into another level. If you could get one of your friends to subscribe for me on the YouTube at the Mad Bomber Podcast, it would be muchly great appreciated for me and the Oracle.
Yes.
It really would. We would really getting us up to 200 is a pretty good plateau. So anyway, thank you everybody for coming in, and Oracle, thank you for making it. You're a service man. Love you, brother. You're the best. I will see you Sunday after the game. All right, folks. Good night now.
Now it's Siani to the left. Biletnikoff to the right against Marsalis. Back is LaMonica. Throws for Biletnikoff. Touchdown Raiders! Biletnikoff is having words right now with Marsalis. Fred caught that ball after quite a physical battle with Marsalis in the right corner of the end zone. He went on out of the end zone, and then instead of slamming the ball into the turf, he ran back in about 10 yards to where Marsalis was and defiantly slammed it in the turf in front of Marsalis. The two tight ends are lined up as tight ends. Back goes Darrell to pass. He's looking for Smith, but instead goes down the middle. Chester, touchdown Raiders! Oh, what a great call! 19 yards and a Raider touchdown to make it 22-3. Chester had gotten free at the 5 and was all alone in the end zone 2 yards in. The Chargers now have a brilliant opportunity to put this game away. Here's Williams to the left, Garrison to the right, flanks right, Charlie Smith out to the left as a wingback, leaves only one back to block, that's Hubbard. LaMonica back, gets fine blocking, now he throws down the middle, Branch at the 20. Branch at the 18, tripped up, keeps going, reverses to the 15, he's at the 10, he dances down to the 9-yard line. First and goal to go Raiders. 1 minute and 30 seconds left to go, and hang on to your hats. Branch is still in. He goes to the right, slotted inside Biletnikoff. 5 defensive backs in there. LaMonica gives to Smith, sending him to the left. He's got Upshaw in front. He's at the 5. He's at the 2. It's a touchdown Raiders! Charlie Smith from 9.5 yards out. Oakland has gone in front. Clarence Davis is in for Charlie Smith. He's a deep threat on pass reception. Back goes Stabler to pass. Steps away from the rush. He's going to run up the left side. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10,